Hi, my name is Annie, and welcome to the Walking Word, where we go through the Holy Bible in a year as part of discipling. We are currently in the second book of Samuel, and we are in chapter 19 of the second book of Samuel, where we're seeing Joab reproving David, and David is so distraught about Absalom's death. The king was shaken after he's been given news, yeah? The king was shaken and went up to the room over the city gate to weep. He said as he wept, "My son Absalom, my son Absalom, if only I had died instead of you. Absalom, my son, my son." So he's wailing, he's a grieving father. Joab was told that the king was weeping and mourning for Absalom. And that day's victory was turned into mourning for the whole army when they heard that the king was grieving for his son. The soldiers stole into the city that day like men shamed by flight in battle. Meanwhile, the king covered his face and cried out in a loud voice, "My son, Absalom, Absalom, my son, my son." Then Joab went to his residence and said, Though they saved your life and your sons and your daughters' lives, also the lives of your wives and those of your concubines, you have put all your servants to shame today. Like these guys, these soldiers have gone out for you. They have fought every battle. They've brought back your wives and your concubines and everything, your sons, your daughters, these men have fought for you, but they're crawling in here back into the city in shame because you're crying? Like, really? Okay. By loving those who hate you and hating those who love you, for you have shown today that the officers and the servants mean nothing to you. Indeed, I am now certain that if Absalom were alive today and all of us dead, you would think that more suitable. So, this is the message David is sending out by crying over that person who hated him but is not even concerned about those who love him and those who are loyal to him. Now then, get up. Go out and speak kindly to your servants. I swear by the Lord that if you do not go out, not a single man will remain with you overnight, and this will be a far greater disaster for you than any that has afflicted you from your youth until now. So the king stepped out and sat at the gate. When all the people were informed that the king was sitting at the gate, they all came to his presence. Okay? So now David is gathering himself together, like, okay, fine, done with mourning. There are people who still need my leadership and guidance. Now the Israelites had fled to their separate tents, but throughout the tribes of Israel, all the people were arguing amongst themselves, saying to one another, "The king delivered us from the clutches of our enemies, and it was he who rescued us from the grip of the Philistines. But now he has fled from the country before Absalom. And Absalom, who we anointed over us, died in battle. Why then should you remain silent about restoring the king to his palace?" When the talk of all Israel reached the king, David sent word to the priests Zadok and Abiathar, "Say to the elders of Judah, why should you be last to restore the king to his palace? You are my brothers, you are my bone and flesh. Why should you be last to restore the king? Also, say to Amasa, are you not my bone and flesh? May God do to you thus unto me if you do not become my general permanently in the place of Joab." Oh. He won over all the Judites as one man, and so they summoned the king to return with all his servants. When the king, on his return, reached the Jordan, Judah had come to Gilgal to meet him and to escort him across the Jordan. Shimei, son of Gera, the Benjamite from Bahurim, hurried down with the Judahites to meet King David. You remember Shimei, the guy who was cursing David as he and his soldiers were going up the mountain? That guy. So he came to meet King David, accompanied by 1,000 men from Benjamin. Ziba, too, the former servant of King Saul who lied about Mephibosheth, he also, Ziba, the servant, has been accompanied by his 15 sons and 20 servants, hastened to Jordan before the king. They crossed over the ford to bring the king's household over and to do whatever he wished. Verse 19, they crossed over the ford to bring the king's household over and to do whatever he wished. When Shimei, son of Gera, crossed the Jordan, he fell down before the king and said to him, "May my Lord not hold me guilty, and may he not remember and take to heart the wrong that your servant did the day my Lord the king left Jerusalem." So Shimei is already scared, like, oh my God, I insulted and dissed this guy. If he retaliates, I am done for. I am just done for. Verse 21, for your servant knows that he had done wrong, yet realizes that I have been the first of the whole house of Joseph to come down today to meet you, my lord the king. But Abishai, the three sons of Zeruiah, but Abishai, son of Zeruiah, countered, Shimei must be put to death for this. He cast the Lord's anointed. David replied, what has come between you and me, sons of Zeruiah, that you would create enmity for me this day? Should anyone die today in Israel? Am I not aware that today I am king of Israel? Then the king said to Shimei, you shall not die. And the king gave him his oath. These sons of Zeruiah are wild. Yes, they're in David's camp, but they are pretty wild. Meribal, aka Mephibosheth, son of Saul, also went down to meet the king. He had not washed his feet, nor trimmed his mustache, nor washed his clothes from the day the king left until the king returned safely. Oh my goodness, can you imagine all those months? This guy hasn't showered, shaven, nothing. When he came to Jerusalem to meet the king asked him, why did you not go with me, Meribal, Mephibosheth? Why didn't you go with me? Why didn't you come with me when I was leaving? He replied, my lord the king, my servant betrayed me. Whose servant? Ziba. You remember Ziba? For your servant who is lame said to him, saddle the ass for me, that I may ride on it and go with the king. But he slandered your servant before my lord the king. But my lord the king is like an angel of God. Do what you judge best, for though my father's entire house deserved only death from my lord the king, yet you placed your servant among the guests at your table. What right do I still have to make further appeal to the king? But the king said to him, why do you even go on talking? I say, you and Ziba shall divide the property. Now David has learned that Ziba was a liar, wanted just Saul's inheritance, left a lame man to fend for himself. Mephibosheth answered the king, indeed, let him have it all now. Let him have it all, now that my lord the king has returned safely to the palace. So at this point, Mephibosheth is just like, you know what, I don't even want that property. Just let him have it all. Because David is like, okay, you know what, let's divide this equally. Mephibosheth is like, you know what, you're back home. That's all that matters to me. Let Ziba have it all. Barzillai the Gileadite also came down from Rogelim and escorting the king to the Jordan for his crossing, taking leave of him there. It was Barzillai, a very old man of 80 and very wealthy besides, who had provisioned the king during his stay in Mahanaim. You remember the guy who came with saddle asses, put food for David and his servants, and all sorts of things. The king said to Barzillai, cross over with me, and I will provide for you in your old age as my guest in Jerusalem. But Barzillai answered the king, how much longer do I have to live, that I should go up to Jerusalem with the king? I am now 80 years old. Can I distinguish between good and bad? Can your servant taste what he eats and drinks, or still appreciate the voices of singers and strong songstresses? Why should your servant be any further burden to my lord the king? Why should I be a burden any further to you? In escorting the king across the Jordan, your servant is doing little enough. Why should the king give me even a reward? Please let your servant go back to die in his own city by the tomb of his father and his mother. Here is your servant, Chimham. Let him cross over with you, my lord the king. Do for him whatever you will. Then the king said to him, Chimham shall come over with me, and I will do for him as you would wish. And anything else you would like me to do for you, I will do. Then all the people crossed over the Jordan, but the king remained. He kissed Barzillai and bade him Godspeed as he returned to his own district. Basically, may God go ahead of you and may God do everything for you according to his will. Finally, the king crossed over the Gilgal accompanied by Chimham. So this is loyalty to David. All those people who served him as he was fleeing Absalom, he's now repaying them. All the people of Judah and half of the people of Israel escorted the king across. But all these Israelites began coming to the king and saying, Why did our brothers, the Judahites, steal you away and escort the king and his household across the Jordan along with David's men? All the Judahites replied to the men of Israel, Because the king is our relative. Why are you angry over this affair? Have we had anything to eat at the king's expense? Or have portions from his table been given to us? The Israelites answered the Judahites, We have 10 shares in the king. Also, we are the firstborn rather than you. Why do you slight us? Were we not first to speak of restoring the king? Then Judahites in turn spoke even more fiercely than the Israelites. Let's finish off with chapter 20, where we're going to see Amasa's death.